Norb, they've changed the mute unmute settings on me, and I haven't quite figured it out. But go ahead and unmute yourself and start. You're still muted. There you go. Now I can hear you.
Now you can hear me. Okay. Oh, I can see you too, sort of.
I don't have my video on this second because it
messes. No, I can't see you.
Messes up
full screen. Okay. We'll have to find out from Jared whether he's going to play something or not to begin with. I may be it.
Yeah, I don't see him on yet, so you can 427. I said 428. Whenever.
Okay.
I'm a little because they've changed the mute setting here. I'm a little discombobulated, but I'll straighten myself out here in a minute. So.
All right. Did you get my message about full screen?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
I'll do that in a sec.
Oh yeah. Well, all right. So am I going to be on visible as the full screen person, or are your name going to still be in the middle?
You ought to be. I'll be muted. You're the only one on sound, so you ought to be popped up in the center there.
Okay.
Up full screen.
Right. Molly says yes. She nods yes.
You can see North full screen right now, Molly. Yes. Back and forth. Yeah. I'll be quiet, so then you'll see him.
Okay, so I should just start playing, huh?
We're on. Encore, encore. Because you're it right now.
I'm it. Okay.
A few more minutes.
All right. Give me a second. Something will occur to me.
Thanks, Norb. Norb, just sidebar. I don't see him pop on here, so I may be cueing you later on during the silence. Just
Okay.
we'll find that out on the fly. Um, Hi, everyone. This is John Hardy. Just a reminder for anybody who may be joining us for the first time. Um, we run the Zoom with everybody on mute, and they seem to have changed the settings on me, so I am sort of relearning where the mute button is on the fly here. I think that's a new version that I downloaded this morning, and they did something to me. So you'll be all on mute because we find that helps us with the sound quality throughout the whole session. At the end of the session, at the end of worship today, we have, of course, for those of you who aren't aware of this, an open forum, discussion of the theme, discussion of whatever's on your mind. And at that point in time, we'll mute everyone, and I'll be back. Well, you'll hear me throughout the whole service, but I'll be back then to just re-explain how that works. I'm going to now introduce Molly Loudon, who will kick us off officially. Molly, I'm just looking for you here. All right, Molly, you're unmuted.
Thank you, John. Welcome, everyone. This is our 4th season of Celtic Worship. I am Molly Maisie O'Neill Loudon, a Celtic name. I didn't really begin to appreciate my heritage until I went to Iona and began to study Celtic theology. I am the facilitator of this Celtic worship team, an Episcopal priest, and I'm really grateful that you chose to join us today, because if you didn't join us, we would not keep doing this. And this is my favorite thing of the whole month. So very selfishly, I'm glad you're here. Our worship is prepared by a team of dedicated people. We are trying together to offer an inclusive, welcoming service that acknowledges the sacred in all of creation and in everyone. So your presence welcomes in the divine presence to be with us. And especially maybe more now than ever, it helps us to be together and to feel the connection to each other. Our service today will be familiar and contemplative in pace. We hope that the offerings that the Celtic Worship team has chosen for today will resonate with what you already know and give you a sense of inner peace. There will be a way to request a private healing prayer during the upcoming week by using chat. Include your name and phone number or email, and Wes Winterbottom or I will call and pray with you during the week. Our theme for this month is fairness, a huge topic and a timely one. We will have time after the formal worship for discussion, and we hope that you will stay with us so we can hear from you and learn from you and go more deeply into the theme of fairness. Also, we will take time during this discussion for speaking and hearing each other's prayer requests. We found this to be a powerful experience of community and connection, which we all need now. And this month, our offering for the third Sunday, October 18th, is a live stream presentation by John Philip Newell, the leading Celtic theologian in the world and our teacher. The registration form will be sent to you again tomorrow on email. We highly commend this opportunity to hear from John Philip Newell, and we hope that you will register tomorrow. Again, welcome. We are so grateful that you joined us, and we hope our worship nurtures you and allows you to find your connection to the divine presence, the sacred within you.
Wes, you can go ahead and you should be able to unmute yourself.
Okay, yeah, I just did. Thanks, John. Okay, so the opening prayer for tonight is taken from a Celtic service for justice, which was held at St. Paul's on the Green Episcopal Church in Norwalk, Connecticut in October of 2019. Eternal Spirit, Earth Maker, Pain Bearer, Life Giver, source of all that is and all that shall be, Father and Mother of us all, loving God, in whom is heaven. The hallowing of your name echo through the universe. The way of your justice be followed by the peoples of the world. Your heavenly will be done by all created things. Your commonwealth of peace and freedom sustain our hope and come on earth. With the bread we need for today, feed us. In the hurts we absorb from one another, forgive us. In times of temptation and testing, strengthen us. From trials too great to endure, spare us. From the grip of all that is evil, free us. For you reign in the glory of the power that is love, now and forever. Amen.
Well, I'm on.
Okay, good.
Back in the 1970s, I lived in Louisville, Kentucky, and I got to know a folklorist there named Dylan Buston. He was going around researching the Ohio River, and he would stay at my house on his travels. And he said, "I wish I could do something for you." And I said, "Yeah, you could teach me one of your songs." So I collected quite a few of them, and this is one of them. Once you get the melody, sing right along with me. When springtime is come, the cherry tree shows blossoming buds on each branch will grow, but you may be sure for good and all, when summer is near, those flowers will fall. When summer is come, my cherry tree shows ripening fruit on each branch will grow, but you may be sure for good and all, when autumn is near, those cherries will fall. When autumn is come, my cherry tree shows yellowing leaves on each branch will grow, but you may be sure for good and all, when winter is near, those leaves they will fall. When winter is come, my cherry tree shows glittering ice on each branch will grow, but you may be sure for good and all, when springtime is near, those icicles fall. Blossoms and ice, leaves and fruit, the cherry tree changes in branches and root, and you may be sure for good and all, the season will come when the cherry tree falls. Oh, the cherry tree falls without a sigh, and in time, my friend, so must you and I. But you may be sure for good and all, that life is a tree, never changes at all. We blossom and ripen and hasten to die, like fruit in the orchard, we may not ask why. But you may be sure for good and all, that love is the fruit that changes it all.
Mary, you're unmuted. I'm just going to pop your share up.
The Welsh poet R.S. Thomas wrote a poem called The Bright Field. I have seen the light break through to illuminate a small field for a while and gone my way and forgotten it. But that was the pearl of great price, the one field that had the treasure in it. I realize now that I must give all that I have to possess it. Life is not hurrying on to a receding future, nor hankering after an imagined past. It is the turning aside like Moses to the miracle of the lit bush, to a brightness that seems as transitory as your youth once, but is the eternity that awaits you. What does this have to do with fairness? We'll come back to that. A friend of mine wrote recently that she had had an operation on her knee that had gone well. But in that process of getting ready for the procedure, she had fallen and broken her hand badly. So now she was home safe and healing. She wrote that she had woken up that morning and said to herself, "This is going to be a good day." And then they had a terrific windstorm that brought down a huge tree on top of her little orange car that she loves. Not fair, right? My childhood experience of fairness was having to share because my brother and I squabbled over everything. My mother would hold a knife in one hand and say, "Who wants to cut?" And the other chose. Unfortunately, fairness is seldom so simple. At present, we commiserate about the tsunami of challenges that swirl around us. In the middle of relentless pandemic, there are storms, there are floods, there are earthquakes, there are firestorms raging, none of them small, none of them without tragic consequences. Somewhere there are murder hornets. We don't really know about those yet. There are people protesting injustice around the world, and there are people demonizing them for wanting a fair share. The economy suffers as we lose our homes, our jobs, and sometimes it seems like we lose even our capacity for hope. A friend told me that a very small asteroid was going to hit the Earth a month from now. I said, "No way. No, that's not happening. This is a hoax." It's not a hoax. Although it will only be the size of a truck. Think about that for a moment. Okay, moving on. This is our current reality. Because these things are taking place as we speak all around us, the curious thing to me is that so many of us, like my friend, are experiencing events and struggles in our personal lives that mirror things that are happening all over the earth. We are losing loved ones. We are struggling with age and infirmity. We are suffering loss. We are wondering what the future will bring. We are wondering what we are here for, and maybe why we're still here. I find myself saying, I'm glad I'm the age I am, but we fear for our children, our grandchildren, and we fear for the earth. One of the striking aspects of this time is how we are divided in so many ways, by race, by sex, by religion, by politics, and inside religion and politics, from progressive attitudes to fundamentalist ones. We are divided by the rise of nationalist efforts on many continents, and by what newspapers we read, and even by whether people accept that the earth is actually round. The more we harden into factions, the more chaos reigns. So where does justice fit into this picture? Where does fairness lift her beautiful head? Where does our faith fit in? Who and what is waiting for us to wake up? Young people have a word they use frequently now. The word is woke. It's an adjective, I'm sure you've heard it. He is woke, they say. She is woke. Woke is a state of being. It's a telling cultural meme, meaning the obvious. That person is aware, awake, and paying attention. The young say to us, wake up, dummies. You are wrecking our future. Greta Thunberg is woke. They sing, in every breath you take, in every sound you make, I'll be watching you. And they are. We are caught between a past we cannot go back to and a future that scares us stupid. We are actually just like Calvin in Calvin and Hobbes, who says, I know the world isn't fair, but why isn't it ever unfair in my favor? Maybe we need to be looking for a path into the present, which will lead us to being woke, or at least more woke than we are right now. And what we need to do, in my opinion, is not dramatic. We need to look for a path inward instead of joining the outside chaos or hiding from it, as the case may be. Celtic theology is a theology of oneness. It is a theology that challenges our innate desire to divide ourselves into this side and that side of an argument. It is a theology that comes from a God of all peoples, of all universes, of the most cosmic of mysteries, and of the least dandelion in your garden. Michelle Small Wright wrote a book called Behaving as Though the God in All Things Mattered. It is an autobiography about an inward journey that saved her life. It is a book full of magic, but also full of practicality. It is a book about how God lives in God's creation and how God's least creation is a thing of beauty. It is a book about how we can learn to respond. Source speaks to us through paradox. Love your enemies, for example. Creation needs us to understand that justice is not a courtroom. Justice is a goal, but not the goal. Justice and fairness are byproducts of balance, harmony, and divine order. Do we need to decide to be fair? Yes. But we can't just decide to be fair in the middle of chaos. It's not all up to us. And it is all up to us. We need to decide to deal with the chaos first and thread our worlds back together with the threads of justice, kindness, decency, true power, the power to change things according to divine order and sacred compassion. There is a little known concept called mind embraces all opposites. Part of it reads, I am the silence not grasped by the mind, the image you can't forget. I am the voice of every natural sound, the word that always reappears. I am the intonation of my name, Hokmah, the breath returning from form to its source. I am knowledge and ignorance. I am timid and bold. I am shamed and shameless. I am strength. I am fear. I am war and I am peace. Listen to me. Listen to my poor voices. Listen to my rich ones. Do not turn your back on my weakness or fear my power. Why despise me when I am afraid? Or curse me when I am inflated? I am she who shudders in all your fears and who shakes in your moments of power. I am the one in you who becomes sick, and I am the one in you who is completely healthy. I have no sensation, and I am the sense, the wisdom of all. When God tells us that we must not be divided, this is what we are called to do. Accept our humanity and accept the humanity of others, and let the sacred breath of Source move through us. See ourselves in others and help others to see themselves in us. Fairness is the pearl of great price. Fairness can come only from oneness. To be fair is both to be just and to be beautiful. It is such a simple word. How do we do that? Go inside. Lay yourself down and allow yourself to listen to God. And listen also to the earth. In the beginning of the pandemic, when we all went inside, literally, we watched the earth begin to heal itself immediately. The pollution lifted, animals freely strolled into town and nibbled in our gardens. Waters began running clear. Dolphins came to the harbors, swans to the canals in Venice. What stronger message do we need? The earth doesn't need us. If we all disappeared, the earth would be fine. So we must go inside to spirit, find our breath, find our little self and our soul self, and at the same time Source. And then we must go out into the world with fairness, the pearl of great price in our hearts, in our hands, and our heads. Amen.
Norb, you can go ahead and unmute yourself, and I'm going to pop up your share.
Thought we could go back to an old chant from the Roman tradition. It was first written down probably in the 13th century, but it had existed before that. It sort of has a chorus, so if you want to sing this part, the introduction is Kyrie and the eleison. It's Greek. It means, Lord, have mercy. And Christ, have mercy. God made human. So you can sing the whole thing, or you can sing eleison, because it's the same every time. And we'll go through this whole chant in threes, and then do it again, and do it again. And we'll see if you can let it get into your system. Kyrie eleison. Kyrie eleison. Kyrie eleison. Christe Christe eleison. Christe eleison. Kyrie eleison. Kyrie eleison.
Jared, whenever you're ready, you can unmute yourself and begin.
This song is from Psalm 63. It's called Sama Lecha Nafshi, My Soul Thirsts for You. And the words are Sama Lecha Nafshi, Kama Lecha Basari, Be'eretz Sia Ve'ayef Bli Mayim. My soul thirsts for you, my flesh longs for you, as one in a desolate and dry land without water. It's referring to the divine presence.
Hi, everyone. I understand that I had a little technical issue, which I couldn't see on my end. And so just to solve the mystery, this is what you all missed. Can everybody see the full screen, candles and all now? Molly, yes? Okay. So I'll just give you a moment to read it just because there is some information here, and then we'll move forward. Okay, thanks. Jeff, you can unmute yourself whenever you're ready, and I'm going to get yours up on the screen.
Great, thank you. And while he's doing that, I'll be reading intercessory prayer, and I'll read a line, and then John's going to read a line, the bolded line, the second one. But I encourage you all to read along at home out loud. I'll pause between the each verse in case you want to add a comment, a thought, a prayer, and then we'll move on.
Just bear with me a second because seems like I'm having an issue here with the share, so stand by and we'll get that resolved.
And while he's working on this, I must confess that I was looking at this right before the service. I realized I have a typo in this. And so you'll see when we get to the very last line that I read, it'll say, my should, and it really should be my soul, in case you're wondering.
Fortunately for you, I caught that.
Oh, he caught it. It's all cleaned up. I confessed my typo for no reason. Oh, well, that's okay.
Since like everyone else in the Celtic group, I own every single thing put out by John Philip Newell. I was able to pull it and double check. So
That's
all right. So now, can everybody? I see some faces. Can everybody see the full screen now?
yes.
Okay, very good. Go ahead, Jeff, and
Thank you.
I'll read back.
So this is the Song of Mary, which is a paraphrase of the Magnificat from Sounds of Eternal by John Philip Newell with slight modifications. My soul sings of you, O God.
My spirit delights in your presence.
You have cherished my personhood.
You have honored earth's body.
All will know the sacredness of birth.
All will know the gift of life.
Your grace to those who are open.
Your mercy to the humble in heart.
The dreams of the proud crumble.
The plans of the powerful fail.
You feed the hungry with goodness.
You deny the rich their greed.
The hopes of the poor are precious.
The birth pangs of creation are heard.
You have been fair and faithful to the human family.
You are the seed of new beginnings.
My soul sings of you, O God.
My spirit delights in your presence.
Okay, the closing prayer today is entitled The Great Spirit Prayer. And
There we go.
it is written by Chief Yellowlark, who is the chief of the Lakota Sioux, who was credited with it, which was translated by him in 1887. Based on what we know about this man of peace, what he wished for most was for Native Americans and the white man to live in peace. He wanted his people to enjoy their heritage and to remember what it was like to be a true Lakota Sioux. Chief Yellowlark saw much death and misery. He saw his way of life taken forcibly from his people. Perhaps his hope was that in the life to come, he and his people once again would be allowed to roam the celestial hunting grounds where their brother the buffalo would once again be their companion. And when I first read this prayer, I have to tell you that the last 3 lines really spoke to me personally, and especially the last line. O great spirit, whose voice I hear in the wind, whose breath gives life to all the world, hear me, I need your strength and wisdom. Let me walk in beauty and make my eyes ever behold the red and purple sunset. Make my hands respect the things you've made and my ears sharp to hear your voice. Make me wise so that I may understand things you have taught my people. Help me to remain calm and strong in the face of all that comes towards me. Let me learn the lessons you have hidden in every leaf and rock. Help me seek pure thoughts and act with the intention of helping others. Help me find compassion without empathy overwhelming me. I seek strength, not to be greater than my brother, but to fight my greatest enemy, myself. Make me always ready to come to you with clean hands and straight eyes. So when life fades as the fading sunset, my spirit may come to you without shame.
Molly, you're unmuted.
We'll close the formal part of the service with the Celtic blessing. And I do hope you will stay with us for the discussion on fairness, or just to let us know how you're doing, or anything you want prayer for, or anything you want us to know. Deep peace of the running wave to you. Deep peace of the flowing air to you. Deep peace of the quiet earth to you. Deep peace of the shining stars to you. Deep peace to you. Deep peace to you.
Thank you, Molly. And as she mentioned, that concludes the formal part of the service today. In a moment, I'll hit unmute all if I can figure that out, because as I mentioned, they've changed the settings on me just as of this morning, and I'm sort of figuring some of this stuff out on the fly again. But we invite you to stay with us and chat. So if you wish to get in contact with us with a prayer request or something else that you'd like to share, you see our email address there on the screen, ctcelticworship@gmail.com. We're on Facebook. I know many of you follow us on Facebook. And for anyone who's on Instagram, it's not on the screen here, but as of last week, we are now on Instagram as well. And you can search on Connecticut Celtic. I'm not sure why I had an issue with the worship. It's been so long since I set the page up. I need to go back. So for the time being, we're Connecticut Celtic on Instagram, and we're looking for content there. Instagram is a great visually heavily setting, and we have some videos and things that I hope to get up there in the next coming weeks. So with that, I think I figured out. All right, now everybody ought to be able to, famous last words, unmute themselves now. So I just muted you, Molly, just because you're the first person on my. Okay, so
we have to do it individually.
Yep, it seems like right now anyway. play with it some more. But I would ask you, if you're just going to listen along, if you could just mute yourself and unmute yourself when you have something to contribute to the conversation, because otherwise we get a lot of cross noise. So I'll turn it over to Matthew here.
Thank you, John. Thank you, everybody, for being with us. Fairness is a difficult topic and experience, and certainly we have all had experiences of feeling like we were treated unfairly and maybe feeling good about ourselves when we were fair. But let's talk about how this is for you and how you're feeling and what you would like to share about it. Mary, could you say a little about how you put together what you wanted to share with us?
Well, I have to tell you, it was difficult because fairness and justice are so loaded in many ways in our culture. And there's so much information that I decided to go elsewhere to a larger picture. I had a gazillion quotes. Many of them were wonderful, but you can say just so much. And I ended up just writing what was on my mind and heart. I have had so many conversations with people over the last months about what is not going right for them, and know so many people who are really struggling with very serious things. And it really struck me that the outer world, with all of the climate change issues and the unrest in our country and the vast, incredible history of injustice to people who are not white. You could narrow that down further, but I won't go there. And it was difficult to get one single thing to stay with. And justice has a somewhat different history and etymology than fairness does. Fairness etymologically has two meanings. One that has to do with being fair and just and seeing people equally, and the other, of course, having to do with beauty. And that's the one that took me back to the R.S. Thomas poem. I love that poem. And I think we are often caught between worrying about the future and wishing we could have something that we don't have anymore. And isn't time such a mystery right now? I mean, we don't know what day of the week it is. I don't know what day of the week it is most days. I don't know what else to say other than that, Molly. It's a big, 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 big topic. I can't hear you.
Molly, you're muted.
I invite others to respond to the sharing or to the prayers, or just to tell us how you are, what this brought up for you.
I'd like to read one more thing, Molly. This is in John Philip Newell's Christ of the Celts. When Julian of Norwich receives her inner assurance that all shall be well, and all shall be well, and all manner of things shall be well, that famous quote, part of what she is hearing is that she will not be well, and that each one of us will not be truly well, including our families and nations and entire species, until all things are well. There are certain brokennesses in our lives and relationships and world that will not be healed until we are all healed. We are so deeply part of one another and of all things that it is meaningless to speak about wholeness in separation.
Sorry to have come in so late. This is my first Zoom for the Celtic Worship. And I thought that as when we were all together in the church, that from 4:30 to 4:50 would be silent period. So I'm sorry to have missed your sharing, Mary, but I just wanted to say that I was especially intrigued by this topic because it is exactly what caused me to become a lawyer. I have had an innate sense of fairness and justice since I was a very little girl, probably as an excuse to berate my brothers if I thought that I was being treated unfairly. But it certainly is what caused me to want to become a lawyer. And in regard to the closing prayer, I just want to note that October 12th not only is the much maligned now Columbus Day, but it is also Indigenous Peoples Day, and wanted to make people aware of that.
Fortunately for you, Shannon, the recording will be up on our Facebook page and on our YouTube page in the next few days. Keep an eye out.
Oh, thank you, John.
Linda?
Me?
Yes, do you want to say something?
You're muted again, Linda,
Yes,
so you need to unmute.
yourself.
Yeah, Linda, you mute. Yeah, I have you. You can unmute.
Okay, is that all right?
Now we can hear you.
Yes.
I guess I'm going to be very honest. I feel as if justice and fairness are just so absent. You know, I feel that they're absent. I feel the dream is right now hard to see. I see it at times. I'm doing what I can as a person in terms of politically, but I'm going to just be very honest. That's how I feel. It's a sense of justice and fairness, which, you know, I was an educator and a school leader, and I tried so hard to instill that in our school communities. And I understand, Shannon, you know, and I applaud the origin of your being a lawyer, but that's just what I very sadly must admit. But one always dreams and one always hopes, and hope is eternal. Thank you.
I think Tanya wants to say something.
Can I say something? Hi.
Hi.
I just want to talk about justice. And Mitakuyasu, we are all related. We are all the same. I just got off a 2-hour group with Indigenous women, Navajo, Lakota, Dakota, and Cree. And we all cried together for 2 hours. And I'm a white person. I'm not indigenous, you see. But they love me and they accept me, and I love and accept them. And I can't tell you how powerful it is every 2 weeks to meet with these 9 women and to share our meditation together. I'm a mind-body skills practitioner. And there's a Lakota woman, she's on Pine Ridge Reservation. She's the one who started this group. And COVID is what brought it to Zoom. Now I couldn't be meeting. So out of COVID, and a lot of deaths and a lot of terrible injustice, we might say, and not being fair, I get to be on Zoom with these wonderful women every 2 weeks. And I have to say, after all the injustices that have been done to Native Americans in this country and the ongoing genocide, they have an innocence and a love in their hearts and they have such a prayerful life. And I'm not talking about the rote prayers. I'm talking about prayers from their heart in their powerful languages, whatever they are. And they just honor everything, you know, and whatever they're going through, they know I'm trying to learn myself to be in the moment all the time and to know that the creator or God or whatever you want to call it, Tankashla, is in charge and not me. And all I can do is show up every day and be kind, you know, be kind to others, be loving. And that's to myself too. And I think that's how we have fairness. I think the rules, I'm an arbitrator, so I know a little bit about laws and rules. And yes, we have to have a rule of law, or law of rule, whatever you want to call it. But to me, that's all illusion, you know. I get more out of being with these women than I do sitting at an arbitration table, that's for sure. Because there, I can only do justice for the one person, the grievant in the room. But here, it's a positive thing, you know. We can cry, we can laugh with each other. And it just it touches my soul. When I'm with them, my soul is expanded, not just my heart, but my soul. And I feel so grounded and so connected to God. That's what I feel. And it's the power of women, not to say anything against men, but women meeting together in a circle is just so powerful. You know, we create a hormone called oxytocin, which is the love hormone. And when we're together, when women talk to each other, we're creating that, and it's going right to our hearts. So women like to tend and befriend, you know. Whenever there's crisis, that's what we like to do, is help each other. So that's how I can get out of my own grief, my own way, is by helping others, and they help me too. So I'm happy to be able to get on here for the last 20 minutes at least, and see you all. I've missed you all summer, and I pray every day for certain people here that I know. And that's all we can do, you know. And I say to other people, you know, I don't want to watch the news because it'll make me crazy. And I just know that there is a God in charge, and it's not me, and it's not the politicians, that's for damn sure. So I just have to have faith and trust that everything's going to be okay, however it is, because that's the way it's supposed to be. And I know that our earth is very powerful. And Unchi Maka, they call it the Lakota, Mother Earth, Grandmother Earth. She will survive. Whether we will survive on it or not, I don't know, but she will survive. I just went out and fed my Eastern cottontail rabbit. She's lived here for 3.5 years. Her name is Henrietta. She comes every day for supper. I go, human to rabbit, here's your yummies. So she's eating her kale, her carrots, her blueberries, and her apples. And she does it so daintily. First she takes a blueberry, then she tries a carrot, and then she tries an apple, then a piece of kale. She never makes a mess. She never spills what's in the dish. And I love her dearly. And somebody told me, who's a very prayerful lady, she said, you know what Henrietta is to you, Tanya? I said, what? She said, she's the presence of God in your life every day. And that's the truth. because she knows her name and she knows me. And how about that for communication? So thanks for letting me share. Happy to see you all.
Thank you, Tanya. It's good to see you. You know, it is interesting. The Celtic people also are an indigenous people. And so often they are the most connected. They are the most connected to the earth and to their gratitude. And like the native peoples in the United States, the Celts prayed all day long. They had a prayer, just a personal relationship with whatever they were doing or seeing. And then when they brought the Druid tradition into the Christian tradition, they just kept all of that and added very familiar references. They thought of Jesus as their brother or their friend. They thought of Mary as someone who was milking the cows with them. It was personal, and it was part of your family.
Pray with every breath, with every action.
And actually, the Jewish religion does the same thing. They have ritualistic prayers, but it is for every action. Anybody else have something they would
Molly, I
like to
do.
share with us?
I do, yes. From another room. Oh, Lord, don't cover me up. Anyway, as one who has been a lawyer and still practicing for 57 years, I am sad about our system of justice in this country and elsewhere, but only in this country, in that somewhere in the range of 50 to 80% of the people in this country cannot afford a lawyer for many types of matters. I think of Richard Pryor, who went down to the courthouse to seek justice. And when he got there, he said, "Yeah, it's just us," meaning from the color of his skin. We are we're gradually making progress. In my time as a lawyer, 50 years ago, people charged with a felony were not entitled to a lawyer. And then we had a case called Gideon, which permitted people charged with something that would send them to prison to have a lawyer. But that's a drop in the bucket compared to what we as a society and we as a profession can do, thinking that, and I go back to Celtic, that all of us are of God, and we don't treat many people, most people who do need lawyers, we don't treat them as if they are of God and entitled to good help. Where that leads us, I don't know. but it is an ongoing quest. We have leadership in the American Bar Association. We have leadership in Connecticut that encourage us all to devote 10% of our time to pro bono work. And there are hundreds of thousands of hours of legal time that are given away, but it still doesn't do much more than scratch the surface. That's all. Thank you.
You know, a word, and I can't even remember what prayer it was in, and maybe it was something you said, Mary, but it just leapt out at me, was the word greed. And I feel of all the deadly sins, quote unquote, this one has really gotten us in a very desperate situation.
It's in the intercessory prayers, Mom, unless it was also stated before.
Yeah, I was just about to say, that's what I love about that couplet, really. You feed the hungry with goodness, you deny the rich their greed. And we may be seeing that. But we have a long ways to go.
Until we deal with the systemic racism that is totally embedded in our judicial system, we're not going to get there. So that certainly is, I think, where we need to start.
I think, Lisa, are you saying something? I need you to go on off of mute.
Thanks, Jeff.
Hi. Can you see me?
Mm-hmm. Hi, Lisa.
I was talking to my husband. He just got home. I was telling him about being with you in the service and trying to explain this wrestling with the idea of fairness and, the overlay of the times that we are in and the consciousness of this community of people who are willing to wrestle with fairness in these times when we have been changed. Our consciousness has been changed. And we look at fairness now in a way that we've never done before, at least me. But I think as a human family, there's just something that's changed. And I found the service so tender and truth-telling. There's no dance of joy at this moment in time because those of us who seek fairness are struggling because we see the lack of fairness. But we also are people of faith, and that holds it together. That holds it together. Beautiful set of poems and prayers and readings. Really a beautiful gathering today. Thank you.
My grandson interviewed me about the American Dream for his English paper a few weeks ago. And I agree with you, Lisa. The last few months has changed my awareness. As a kid, I really believed if you worked hard and you tried to do well in school and you were a good person, that you could succeed and that you would live the American dream. And the last 6 months, 8 months, 9 months, I had to admit to my grandson, I can see that that is not possible. If you live in poverty, if you are a Black person, a brown person, an immigrant person, if you have a disability, it's not been available to everyone. And I also believe that we are in one of those periods in history where what we have is not working, and what we need, we're not real sure, but we know we need something. But we know we need to change. We know we need to include more people. We know we need to make it more fair. And I believe it is possible that each one of our souls has chosen to incarnate at this time, to be on earth at this time, to hold steady with that hope and that vision, and to encourage each other and be with each other, and so that we know we're not alone, and that we feel the support and connection of doing what is fair.
I like that thought, Mom. And I'm sorry to speak again. Oh, Debbie, if you wanted to speak, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Go ahead, Shannon.
When my now husband was doing his postdoctoral fellowship down in Birmingham, I remember frequenting or going to all of the various civil rights sites down there, and especially Selma. And I remember driving back in the dead of night in the backwoods of Alabama and really wondering, had I been born not in 1963, but in 1943, for example, would I have had the courage to be a freedom rider or to go down to the South and try to bring that about 50 years ago? And they say that our opportunities come around every 50 years or so to deal with this issue in the United States. And I truly hope that this time we do it.
Two things. Part of the readings talked about birth and new life and bringing new people and new souls to the world. And I think that's important, because I think groups like us are important for identifying what it is that we need to do. The fact that a lot of systemic racism and all of the things that are being discussed now are a lot more in the open. I mean, they were discussed before, but behind closed doors, and people really needed to fight and put their lives on the line to get anything done. And now it is part of the mainstream. And I think that is bringing forward a lot of the issues. And I think that's why we can see how our society as a whole right now, and
particularly in the United States, is not doing well. But I think that it is shining a light on what does need to be done. And I think that will add to the number of people that are helping Shannon and Bruce be able to assist in the legal system. But I think all of us as a whole to, again, bring kindness. I mean, I can't even tell you how many, be kind, love each other. There are signs on the side of the road now. I never saw those before, but now they're out there a lot. And I think those kinds of things, they're grassroots. People are trying to do a little bit, as much as they can do personally, to really get the word out there. And I think that that is going to help all of us.
If we elect our first African-American vice president, that should help a lot. Sorry, I know I'm not supposed to be political, but you see my background.
Shannon, I was wondering who you supported.
Oh, John.
Who I'm supporting?
Yeah, I have no idea.
Right there.
I'm not sure how we,
I don't know how you'd figure that out, John.
So I think that I'm optimistic. I'm optimistic with an asterisk. The asterisk is my somebody wants to get in at this late moment. Let me let them in here. Okay. And this is my personal spiritual journey over the last 3+. How long ago was it that we went to Iona, Molly? 3.5 years ago, I guess now is when I really got cooking on this, and I had a personal life-changing visit to Iona that made me think about a lot of things. And I've spoken about this in reflections in the past. I truly believe that the divine is in everyone and everything. I talked about in one of my reflections 2 years ago about the being stuck in a traffic jam and thinking about the divine in the pavement, in the road ahead of me. But the divine, it's there. The elements of the divine are there. And so I'm optimistic because I know the Creator is in all of us. Many, many people have turned away from that force, but it's there. And I think that said, and here's the asterisk, change is very incremental. And I think that we've seen in this country, we have seen change for the good in the last 50 years, but the events of the last 6 years, and I'll tip my hat to you, Shannon, the administration of the last 4 years, have shown us that we have a hell of a long way to go. And I'm not sure that, I think we'll get there. I really do, in the world. I think we'll get there. We'll get to equity, and we'll get to fairness, and we'll get to justice. I'm not sure we're going to get there in any of our lifetimes. But I think I know, because of the fact that there's a Creator who loves us. And the Creator has to love us, because look at creation. Look at what the Creator made for us. And that's the force that's in everybody and everything. And yes, Mary, people are woke now, and that wokeness will continue. And it may take, these problems have taken thousands of years to develop, and they may take thousands of years to fix, but we'll get there.
I would like to add, John, that I agree with you. And I think the first real steps are going to be with our young people and the kids who are coming in now. They are so amazing. They are so far ahead. So many of them are so far ahead of where we were, or where we are now, for that matter. and they are vocal. They give me hope.
I was in a town hall meeting with high school students and college students this past Monday with one of the candidates for whom I'm working, volunteering. I was absolutely amazed at their articulateness and their activism and their knowledge, and also upset for them at what they've had to live through and continuing to live through the last 6 months, because it absolutely has been anxiety producing. Three of the girls were seniors in high school and wondering what they're going to do. Are they going to go to college? Are they going to get to go to college? And one was a senior at Mount Holyoke, and she's studying remotely, doesn't know what she wants to do with her life, doesn't have a vision for her future. And so while they're very woke and they're very aware and they're very able to share ideas via social media in a way that we never were, I also was very upset for them. And the only thing I said during that meeting was that one person can certainly make a very big difference. And as a community or as an organization, you can even make a bigger difference if you all join together. But they were amazing. So I agree with what you said, Mary. They certainly have a lot to teach us.
This is Molly again, just to say that I think what we can do is listen and encourage them to speak and learn from them and let them know that in fact we are learning from them. Not that we have the upper hand, not that we have the answers, but that we will support them finding the answers and we'll be with them. They are probably, they are our great hope right now. And they need our support. So many of us have grandchildren, and many of us have kids in the neighborhood, and many of us are in organizations that impact children. Maybe that is something we can leave with today, that we are going to be intentionally listening to young people and supporting what they're trying to do, or learning. Mostly, I think, being humble enough to admit we're learning from them. Is there anyone else who feels like they have something they want or need to share? Hey, Jared.
Hey, Molly. I did have something. I wanted to. I had some thought about the piece that I shared today. It's not totally coherent in my head, so I don't know how it's going to come out, but I want to try. I don't know if, yeah. So the thought that I had is that one of the times fairness becomes something, a matter of consequence, is in a situation of scarcity. Scarcity, a lack of resources. And there's different kinds of resources. Yeah, because then it's like, how do you share these resources fairly? But if there's plenty of resources, then you don't have to worry about that. And there's different kinds of resources. There's physical resources. But the piece in that psalm, it says, my soul thirsts for you, my flesh also, like in a land that's parched, where there's no water. That thirst for the divine, like for the divine presence. So a thought I have is about increasing that, which everyone here has been talking about, how we're doing. I see that as being of great consequence. And I'm also thinking, I'm in a counseling group, and something they talk about, they have a word, resource, that they use that keyword, and what they mean when they use it is relaxed, benign, benevolent human attention, which maybe is the same thing as the presence of the divine. I think it is, actually. And resource. It's a resource. It's a resource. It's a precious, vital resource. It's a precious, vital resource. My soul thirsts. My flesh also. The land has no water. So cultivating that, which we're all doing, and sharing that with ourselves and each other, I think when we ask the question of fairness, it's too late already. It's too far. There's a prior point. There's a prior point. There's a need. There's a need. There's a need. There's a need. There's an unmet need. What is the need? What is the need? What is the need? What is the need? What is it? How do we meet it? And I'm also thinking of this quote. I'm going to misquote it, but it's something to this effect. There's a place beyond right and wrong, and I'll meet you there. Like the question of fairness, it's like, who gets what? Who deserves what? Who's at fault? Fault is a thing I think about a lot. And so I think of that quote. Like, there's a place beyond right and wrong. I'll meet you there. There's a need. Let's meet the need. Let's identify the need. Let's meet the need. The needs. So those are thoughts that I have. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Jared. I love that idea of resource, because that really is what I was referencing. We can be that for each other and for young people. And there is nothing that I know of that is more empowering than connection and support, to allow you to form into who you are and to become all that you can be. And that presence is the way we manifest the divine to each other, that resourcing. So thank you. And thank you for the music too. Thank you for the music. And thank you, Norb, for the music. Anyone else have something to say to us? If not, we'll close for this evening. We're so grateful that you joined us so grateful for the discussion. It is true, and we know this in group process, that when we give voice to what we're feeling and thinking, we become more involved and more woke. I hope you all have a deeply restful and peaceful evening, and that we remember to be a resource, because presence is what brings the divine into the interaction. Not giving advice, not knowing the answer, but listening and being present. And I believe your quote, Jared, was Rumi.
Oh, I love Rumi.
Well, he's a great Muslim scholar and teacher.
Rumi.
Good night, everybody, and thank you.
Good night.
Deep peace to you.